You're listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. Each week, your host, Polly Requa, interviews veterinarians and individuals in the pet industry from across the nation answering pet questions. Bark and Wag podcast is produced weekly for your enjoyment, and show notes can be found at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. That's BARKNWAG.com. Please remember to subscribe to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk.
A quick word from Shameless Pets. Shameless Pets crafts healthy, tasty dog treats with a twist, using uncycled ingredients to be more sustainable. Every 6-ounce bag is full of all-natural, soft-baked treats that are bursting with superfoods. Visit shamelesspets.com. Once again, that's shamelesspets.com. Welcome to Bark and Wag 15-Minute Vet Talk. I'm your host, Polly Requa. Today we're talking to Phil Hilton, owner of CHAAMP Marketing out of Virginia. Welcome, Phil.
Hello.
Thanks for being on the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Polly.
So, as you know, well, not my listeners, but as Phil knows, during the pandemic, I decided I was going to take Bark and Wag and Chuck the Pug. And Chuck the Pug is a Bark and Wag influencer and model to the next level. And I kind of researched and was trying to figure out how you can take a product or a dog to the next level. And anyway, by working with Phil, I was able to create a URL for Chuck the Pug, enhance his social media, and I wanted to have Phil on the show to give us tips on how to make your business or a dog a social media star. So it's actually kind of a funny topic. But anyway, Phil, welcome. And what tips do you have for our listeners?
Well, again, thanks for having me. The first thing I usually start with whenever I'm talking to anyone about social media or any kind of growth in general, obviously, is it doesn't happen overnight. So it usually does take a little while to catch on, and that goes for a business or for any kind of brand. When if we're talking about a dog in particular, or any kind of animal, or for that matter, a person, if you're trying to get an individual, it's all kind of the same. You're just hitting different audiences, obviously. So I would also say, before we get into any specific tips, I would also say stay with the personality. So whatever your dog's personality is, stay with that. While you can certainly, we all see videos online that have that are obviously rehearsed. They're not, spontaneous events and that kind of stuff. But by and large, authenticity is really the coin of the realm. So if people feel that your dog is jumping around and everything that's authentic because it's meant to, or cats with the lasers, that kind of stuff, that's definitely going to be, in the long run, probably a lot easier content to develop too, because then you're not constantly having to think something. You're capturing your dog's normal personality and those funny moments. Of course, those moments always are always there. So that would be kind of the first thing I would say, is kind of stay within yourself and realize that it is going to take a little time.
Right. And so with a digital marketing agency, what are the different avenues a person can take to get that message out?
Well, first I would say, if we're talking about this type of content, I would definitely say video is going to be key. So that doesn't mean you can't post pictures. Virtually every post you make should have either a picture or a video. Very rarely should you post anything with simple text. That's just not going to capture much attention. Video is definitely the key. It is most of the content that's viewed and shared online these days is video. So I would definitely choose platforms like Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. TikTok is a much younger audience, but it's also a very active audience. It's an incredibly active audience. And until they take it away, that's one I would definitely start to look at, which they may do. It could happen. But whichever platform you use, you definitely want to post often and you want to post consistently. So you don't want to go days or weeks. The way the algorithms work, people see on their feeds the type of content and the people or pages that they interact with. So if they go a long period of time without seeing or interacting with your content, the likelihood of you showing up in the newsfeed goes down considerably. So you want to post often and consistent.
And what is often? like 4 or 5 days a week, or?
Well, I would tell you, I mean, honestly, I would post just about every day. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to create content every day. You can create content and then schedule that content to post. There are some pretty cheap. I think most of them even have some free versions, some free kind of a freemium where they'll give you a little bit for free, and then if you need more, then you have to pay for it. So there are plenty of tools out there that you can actually schedule posts. So you don't necessarily have to worry about creating and coming up with content every day, but I would definitely try to post every day. As far as the frequency goes, that's kind of different per platform, but realistically, the frequency that you should post is how often you have great content that people might like. So, Facebook, the industry standard is kind of 2 posts per day, but the reality is if your 2 posts per day aren't great content, then it doesn't matter if you only post two posts per day. And if you have 5 posts in a day that are really great content, then you're not going to get penalized for it. So I would post as often as you have good content. Content is going to drive that.
Okay, and then what about hashtags? Like, how important, especially with Instagram? Like, I feel like during the coronavirus, I gained a lot of followers based on increasing my hashtags on Bark and Wag. Do you find that the hashtags actually work, or do you?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. You're way ahead of me there, Polly. That's a great call. So hashtags, not only hashtags on Instagram, but also on YouTube. Both of them are important. So on Instagram, you really have to get good with hashtags. And what that means is really kind of doing some research. You want to look for common tags that may be associated with your breed. Look at the tags that maybe some other popular similar profiles are using. So look at other dogs that are may have more followers than you and all that stuff, and look at what tags they're using, because one, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. They may have done some research too. That doesn't mean you necessarily shouldn't do your own, but they've probably already done some. But also, the more they're using those tags, the more popular those tags become, the better result you're going to get when you use those tags. And the same thing kind of goes on YouTube. On YouTube, it's incredibly important to look around at other channels like yours and see what kind of tags they're using, because if you can use similar tags there, and you need to be honest though, definitely don't use tags that really don't go with your content. You definitely want to make sure that you're using honest tags. But if you're using great tags on YouTube, the key there where you can really piggyback off of more popular channels is in the related video section. So if you can get your video to pop up in a related video, then you will really get some pretty good reach and visibility from other similar channels. So tags are really important. And one thing, if I can throw in before you go on there, use weekly tags. Look for weekly tags like Throwback Thursdays. Puppy pics on Throwback Thursdays is a good idea. And I believe I found a one specific for dog owners, and I'm not one, so give me a little slack here. But Tongue Out Tuesday apparently is a big thing.
Okay. Yep.
So yeah,
I've done that with Chuck the Pug because Chuck Senior, he didn't have any bottom teeth, so his tongue was always hanging out.
That was a natural position.
When you were talking, so I actually am one of those people that took a full advantage of the pandemic when we were shut down, and I took a ton of classes on Udemy. How to start a YouTube channel, what is TikTok. But what I found is it's all so overwhelming. So how can your agency help people that are sole proprietors or single business owners to handle the TikTok or handle the YouTube so that we can focus on sales and, getting the product out into the market?
Well, we can help to determine, we can help do audience research and find out, who you would be trying to target. We can do a lot of things to help get in front of those people, if you're talking about a paid ad or, for that matter, organic. We can also help with content, although, again, it goes back to authenticity. So we wouldn't want to be trying to create fake content, obviously. So, we would need some assistance on your part to send us pictures. But if you just have pictures and videos and you don't want to do any editing or anything like that, we do have clients that will send us, images, or they'll send us basically raw footage of them walking around their office sometimes. And we'll turn those into short little 15-second, hey, we're all here working on Thursday kind of videos. And then we can schedule those to run. So we can kind of help on that. We can make content, but generally the price point gets a little high there. We also have some tools to help business owners if they want to edit their own content. We have some tools available for that as well. So there's a few things we can do.
Okay.
We always say, just reach out, and if we can't do it, we'll point you in the right direction. But generally speaking, there's a lot of things that we can do to help.
So based on your last comment, what does an owner of a pet or business need to know if they're interested in working with your agency?
They can reach out to us at champmarketing.com. That's with 2 A's, CHAAMP, CHAAMP, marketing.com. Or give us a call at 540-287-8592. Or they can email me directly if they like, philton at champmarketing.com.
Okay, and I'll also put the information in the show notes. And if someone like Chuck the Pug, or, let's say there's Maddie the Lab, or whoever wants to make their dog into a superstar, and we're at the beginning level, what package would you recommend for a person interested in testing the market?
Well, I mean, the first package would be one we will create social media pages. Now, I'm hesitant to throw out a price because at a basic page, we can do a basic page for $60 on Facebook or Instagram, but that can go up depending on how much design you want. So
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure.
Some of you guys may have been on Instagram or something like that, or and seen some pretty elaborate graphics and that kind of thing to make the page really pop. We can do that too, and that's usually that's going to cost a little more depending on how long it takes to design. So we do that.
What platforms? But you probably, what happens is probably the same thing that happened with me, is that you'll talk about what the end goal is, what you're currently doing, and then from there create a plan to make Chuck the Pug a superstar.
Well, right. I mean, everything's always goal-based. We always start with goals. What do you? So, for example, like we talked about how Chuck the Pug is basically going to be an advocate and a champion for Bark and Wag. So, in that situation, obviously, our goals are going to marry those two brands together. So yeah, I mean, it is very much going to be goal-based.
Great. Well, we certainly appreciate you being on the podcast, and we look forward to having you back, especially when Chuck the Pug has over 1 million followers.
Well, I appreciate it too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, www.barkandwag.com, to your friends and other pet owners. Have a pressing question for a veterinarian? Ask your question at barkandwag.com under the podcast tab. This has been a KFR production. Join us next time for another edition of Bark and Wag's 15-Minute Vet Talk.